Welcome into the Alabama Football Report. And Alabama has another commitment in the 2025 recruiting class. This one coming from four-star cornerback Chuck McDonald. He committed back on Saturday, and it's just another one for the Crimson Tide. I don't know. I think it was on Instagram Live. His dad was with Coach Lindquist as well as Womack and some of the other coaches and stuff like that. They're out smoking cigars, celebrating Chuck McDonald's commitment to the Alabama Crimson Tide. And if you guys are excited about Chuck McDonald committing, you know, we saw last week a couple of predictions come in for his recruitment, and he ended up committing on Saturday. So if you guys are as excited as me about Chuck McDonald committing to the Crimson Tide, like today's video. The most likes we have on a video this month is 189, and that was on Keelon Russell's prediction video, predicting him to commit to the Alabama Crimson Tide. We got 189 on that. I'm going to get at least 200 likes on this video today. So if you guys are excited as me about Chuck McDonald, make sure you like today's video right now. Four-star recruit in the 2025 recruiting class, number 76 overall, the number 9 corner in this recruiting class, as well as the number 7 player from the state of California. He is another modern-day high school commit, you know, in this recruiting class right now, the other one being Abdul Sanders. And a couple of things just from me going and watching his film this past weekend, looking at some of the things I like. I picked out 4 things that I really, really like about Chuck McDonald. The first one coming up is going to be his versatility. He lines up in a bunch of different positions, both at the slot corner position as well as the outside corner. He lines up right on guys. He lines up, 10, 12 yards off guys. It doesn't really matter. There's multiple times where, he's playing man and the wide receiver is going in motion, and he kind of finds himself in the box at the snap a couple of times. And, just a run right up the middle. He's not afraid of going downhill and making tackles. I really like his versatility and where he can play all over the field, and it makes you wonder, is he going to stay at that just strictly at that corner position, or could he possibly transition to that husky position and kind of play all over the field like a Malachi Moore? The next thing is you can tell he's just a really, really smart player. You can tell that he's a bit of a film nerd. I think it was Tim Watts of Bama Online pointed this out. When you watch his film, you can tell the kid knows where the wide receivers are going. You know what routes, or he knows what routes they're going to run. And he's just running the routes along with them. So you only really get to that point if you know the situational things, down and distance, which players are running which routes, a lot of the time. And you can tell that he's just a very smart player who stays in the film room. And, you really, that's one of the top things, in my opinion, when it comes to players, coming in. How not just how good are they, how smart are they? Another thing that I really liked about him, he's very, very instinctive. There's multiple times, 5 or 6, honestly, in his junior huddle film, that you've got wide receivers running some kind of variation of a hitch route, and he jumps almost every single one of them. He's got like 2 or 3 picks on his film from him just jumping those routes, just being instinctive about it. And there's also multiple times where he's playing, 10, 12 yards off the line of scrimmage. You've got a hitch right at the line of scrimmage, and he is at the wide receiver. He is tackling the wide receiver while he's catching the ball. Just that makeup speed, being able to play back, and then by the time that receiver gets the ball on the outside, he's already making the tackle. That's another thing I really like about him. Last thing, the recovery speed. As all DBs and cornerbacks, everybody gets beat. Somebody gets beat at some point or another. And when that happens, he's got that straight line recovery speed to be able to catch up to those wide receivers and get back in phase and, not necessarily make interceptions, but, being able to smack the ball away, swat the ball, just get up in, the receiver's face and be able to get the ball out of there. So those are a couple of things that really stood out to me when it came to Chuck McDonald from his huddle film. So with Chuck McDonald, that makes the 12th commitment for Alabama in the 2025 recruiting class. You've got Daryl Duke Johnson, the 5-star linebacker. He was at Alabama this weekend as well. Derek Smith, 4-star safety. Antonio Coleman, flip-flop from Bama to Auburn. Auburn is not giving up on him, by the way. Anthony Rogers, the only running back commit for Alabama in this class. He's a 4-star. Jaden Harmon, 4-star linebacker. Myles Johnson, 3-star linebacker. We'll talk about him a little bit more later in the show. And then going further, Zamir Smith, 4-star athlete. You know, I think he's a DB. He's most likely going to play some kind of, either safety or husky. I don't think he's necessarily a corner, but who knows? Maybe Alabama can put him there. The other modern-day high school alum, well, I guess not alum quite yet, but Abdul Sanders Jr., 4-star linebacker. Latsier Brooks, a guy that I really love a lot. He's super strong. For a small guy, he's super fast. He's a 4-star wide receiver. Luke Metz, another linebacker, 4-star linebacker. Keelon Russell, the quarterback, 4-star. He flipped from SMU last week. We'll also talk a little bit more about him on today's show. And then this past weekend, Chuck McDonald, 4-star corner, commits to the Alabama Crimson Tide. So, last week, Alabama was sitting at about number 8 in the recruiting rankings. And this is what it looks like now, the 247 Sports Composite Team rankings. Notre Dame still up there at number 1. They've got a ton of commits so far. A bunch of 3. I think they've got like 9 3-stars or something like that, which no hate on the 3-stars, but they've just got a lot of commits. That's why Notre Dame's up there at number 1 still right now. Ohio State making a lot of noise on the recruiting trail. They sit at number 2. Clemson at number 3. Bama up to number 4. I think they're like number 6 on the On3 recruiting rankings. And then you have Oklahoma at 5, USC at 6, LSU at 7, Texas A&M at 8, Auburn at 9, and Georgia sitting there at 10. So where do you guys think Alabama will finish in the 2025 recruiting rankings? It is the pinned comment on today's video, so if that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. Just take advantage of it. Go down there, reply to that pinned comment. Where do you guys think Alabama will finish in the 2025 recruiting rankings? 4-star athlete, really / linebacker, and Alabama commit Myles Johnson has set an official visit to Florida on June 7th. Now, there's a couple things going on with Johnson right now. Not any kind of, I don't necessarily think there's some, he's about to flip kind of thing going on, but there are some stuff going on with him. Johnson didn't play his junior season. He tore his ACL, so he didn't get any run as a junior with that torn ACL. And Andrew Bone from Bama Online also reporting that there has just been minimal contact with Alabama and Johnson. He has not visited Alabama since the Keelon DeBoer staff took over, and he does not have an official visit set with Alabama right now. So, don't know whether Alabama he just doesn't feel necessarily right now that Alabama's not, treating him as a priority. But, he has set that official visit with Florida, so we'll see where it goes from there. Johnson is a 3-star recruit in this 2025 class, number 469 overall, number 49 linebacker, and the number 20 player from the state of Alabama down there in T.R. Miller High School. And, I think he's a better player than 469 overall. Just at the end of the day, he didn't play his junior season, so there wasn't a lot to go off of. You're going off of, things that he did in his sophomore season. And you know what? If he does, decide to look elsewhere, if he's deciding to go, to take other visits and possibly flip at some point, Alabama still currently, right now, has 4 linebackers committed in their 2025 recruiting class, and I don't necessarily see it slowing down anytime soon. They're still pursuing Dawson Merritt. He's kind of that wolf position that, Kane Womack really likes a lot, kind of that outside linebacker spot. And there's still more linebacker targets that Alabama is still pursuing. Dawson Merritt's a really, really big one. So even if Alabama does, lose Johnson in this class, at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the Alabama Football Report. We've got free Alabama football videos for you pretty much every single day. We like to do about 4 or 5 videos for you guys a week. We are inching closer to that 18,000 subscriber mark, 221 subs away. I'd love to hit that number by the end of June. So help us out right now. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the Alabama Football Report. And make sure you guys hit up Fanatics as well. They've got all of the former Alabama players now in the NFL. They've got their jerseys, whether that be J.C. Latham, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Tyrion Arnold, Dallas Turner. They've got all those guys for you at chatsports.com/NFL jersey. There should also be a link right over there in the corner that you guys can click on. Just go in there, filter it, type in Jace McClellan jersey, whoever you want, Kool-Aid McKinstry jersey. They've got it for you. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. One more time for you guys, that's chatsports.com/NFL jerseys. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, and I guess with a grain of salt, because I can just tell off the bat, this dude's absolutely trolling. ESPN's Matt Moscona, he's on ESPN's 104.5 in Baton Rouge, went on an absolutely idiotic, that's how I describe it, rant about Alabama flipping Keelon Russell the other day. This is part of it, and then we'll go back to some more here in just a little bit after I dismantle this part. This is what he said. Keelon Russell flipped to Alabama from SMU, and then he laughed for about 10 seconds like an evil villain, which was honestly kind of funny. Keelon Russell flipped to Bama from SMU. Oh, there was a day. Oh, there was a time when Alabama had the pick of the litter, when the Nickinator was in town running everyone else into the ground. Anybody the Crimson Tide wanted, the Crimson Tide got. Now they're relegated to pillaging SMU for 3-star players. So there's a lot to go into there. And then after that, he brought up Julian Saying transferring to Ohio State after Nick Saban retired, which just for that, to that point, who cares? At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Alabama's quarterback room is still set up pretty well as it is right now. He also said that Alabama didn't get a quarterback in the 2024 class, which is technically true, but really if you look into the context, it's not. Because Alabama did get Austin Mack. Now, Austin Mack was in the 2023 class with Washington. He reclassified, and he didn't play last year, and then he transfers with Kalen DeBoer to Alabama. So Austin Mack was your 2024 quarterback signing. And, I mean, there's so many things. Just tell me you're biased, man. Just tell me you're biased. Obviously, you're based out of Baton Rouge. You're LSU biased. I will be the first person to say right here on the Alabama Football Report, I am an University of Alabama graduate. I am going to be biased a little bit on this channel. I have no qualms about admitting that, but just admit that. Don't go down this rabbit hole of saying he's a 3-star player, which, by the way, is just totally wrong. He's the number 38 overall player in this recruiting class. He's a consensus top 10 quarterback. He's a consensus 100 or top 100 player. And when you talk about the star rankings, well, what makes a 5-star? For the most part, 5 stars are your top 32 players in the country. Why is that? It's because there are 32 picks in the first round of the NFL draft. That's why. He's just a couple spots. He's 6 spots from being a 5-star player. What are we talking about? And oh, by the way, he works for ESPN, who has him as the number 1 ranked quarterback in the country. I don't get it. What are we talking about? And then he goes on to say, Nick Saban isn't there to develop them anymore. Well, Nick Saban wasn't really ever developing the quarterbacks in the first place. It was your offensive coordinators. It was Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, Brian Daboll, Bill O'Brien to an extent. Nick Saban was never really focusing on the quarterbacks. This is what he finished off saying right here. He said, so take it, Bama. You've got your running back playing quarterback for another year in Jalen Milroe. You've got Ty Simpson, who couldn't even beat South Florida in front of 1,000 fans down in Tampa. You've got a couple of redshirt freshmen no one's ever heard of in Dylan Lonergan and Austin Mack. And they're going to transfer as well. And this has got to be a bit. This is just straight up something from SNL just to make me upset. And I tell you what, he did a very good job about it. He also made just so many incorrect points. I just went through so many of them right now. For one, he said Ty Simpson couldn't beat South Florida. Well, they did beat South Florida. Yeah, sure, it was a terrible game, but they did beat South Florida. What are you talking about? Dylan Lonergan is a very good quarterback. He's definitely quarterback 3 on this roster, and I'm very excited to see what he's going to have for the future. Ty Simpson, I think if Jalen Milroe, fingers crossed, if anything happens to Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson in this Keelon Russell offense can take this team, in my opinion, to a national championship. So, you can tell when you're being trolled, and this is just absolutely one of those moments. A good job, Matt. You did a very good job trolling me and got me very worked up, but just at the end of the day, just tell me you didn't watch the film. Because if you go back and you watch Keelon Russell's film, he is every bit of a 5-star quarterback and, a top 32 player in this 2025 recruiting class. So for me, spam L in the comments right now for Matt Moscona. He just, I can't get over what he said the other day. The most L's in the comment section will get a shout out on Monday's video. So spam it for me. I want that number one person to have at least 30 or 40 L's in the comment section. So spam those L's in the comment section for me right now.